Jessica Dess, and I'm a dietitian from Milwaukee Public Schools Department of Nutrition Services, and I'm here today to cook with you. We received a grant from USDA called the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, and with grant funds, we bought produce bags for families in Milwaukee. Now this week we have a special produce bag for you. It's a berry bag. We have blackberries and blueberries, we have fresh raspberries, and we have strawberries. So if you'd like to come get a berry bag this week, you can go to any one of our 50 Stop, Grab, and Go locations located throughout the city on school days. So let's get started with this week's recipes and what we're talking about. Throughout the month of February, we've been learning about how to make every bite count for the prevention of different conditions, such as diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. And this week, we're talking about diabetes. And all the berries that we chose this week are beneficial for blood sugar control. But it happens to be National Pancake Day as well. So I'm going to be teaching you how to make a berry compote with a German pancake, and let's get started learning together. So our first step with our recipe today is we're going to take our strawberries that have been washed and we are going to slice them. So we're just going to take the tops off and then slice right down into nice little slices. And we're going to be using the stovetop today and cooking this down. So while I slice my strawberries, I want to teach you about diabetes. So diabetes is a condition where your blood glucose or blood sugar is too high. Now you might know that your blood glucose or blood sugar is too high by the symptoms. So you might be too hungry, too thirsty, peeing a lot, feel really fatigued, just kind of off. You might get frequent infections or slow healing times. And when that happens, you're going to want to go to the doctor to see what's wrong. So what's going on in our body when we experience these symptoms is when we eat carbohydrates, our body naturally turns them into glucose. And glucose is our body's main source of energy. However, our body can't use glucose without being let into our cells. And our body lets the glucose into our cells with a hormone called insulin. And insulin is produced in a little organ called the pancreas that's right around here, and it's about a little finger-sized organ. And the insulin that's produced is like a key that unlocks the door to the cell to let the glucose in. Now when you have diabetes, the pancreas isn't producing insulin or isn't producing enough. So it doesn't have the key to let the glucose into the cell. And when that happens, the glucose stays in the bloodstream and it makes the blood sugar levels rise. So think of ketchup. Think of how thick it is. Well, that's kind of what's happening in the body. With the sugar in the blood, it gets thicker, it doesn't pump right to different body parts and different organs. And when it doesn't pump right, it flows slow, and you have long-term consequences like heart disease, you have eye problems, you have kidney problems, the list goes on. So prevention, what can we do? Well, let's get our sauce started on the stovetop, and then I'll teach you all about it. So we're going to turn our stovetop on over here. We're going to keep it kind of medium high. And then I have 2 tablespoons of orange juice. And I have a tablespoon of sugar. And 2 tablespoons of water. And I'm just going to give it a little stir. And we're just trying to dissolve the sugar in our liquid. And I decided to make a smaller batch of this berry compote so you would have some fresh berries on the side to enjoy this week as well. So you can always double this recipe. So first we're going to be adding our strawberries to our pan. And I'll just take a little bit at a time. And always use clean washed hands when you're cooking in the kitchen. Keep things safe. And then next we are taking our raspberries. So the strawberries slow glucose digestion, and the raspberries contain something called tannins, a plant compound that actually blocks the carbohydrate absorption, and that's really good for blood sugar control. So I have about a cup here. And I'm going to dump that in and give it a stir again, and those are just going to cook down. So that's looking good, and we're going to hear some sizzling on the stovetop. Okay, so we're going to wait for that to cook, and while that's happening, let's get our pancakes started and talk about diabetes prevention. So I have 6 eggs in my cup for my German pancakes that are just cracked in, and then I'm going to be adding 1 cup of flour, And this is all purpose, but if you want an extra healthy recipe, always choose whole grains. So part of diabetes prevention is your diet and eating well. So choosing whole grains, heart-healthy fats, skipping sugary drinks, limiting those luncheon meats and red meats as well. So next we're going to be adding oil, and I have about a 1/3 cup vegetable oil here. If you have olive oil at home, this is a great choice as well because olive oil has extra monounsaturated fats, good for your heart. So dump that in. And then I have a cup of milk. Choosing a lower fat variety is always more heart healthy. And lastly, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So dump that in as well. I'm gonna put my top on my blender and then grease a 9-inch pie pan. And what we're gonna try to do is incorporate air into our mixture. I'm gonna give it one more pulse to make sure everything is incorporated well. And then pour it in. Okay, and this is a great pancake recipe. I make it at least 1 time per week. And the reason I'm making it 1 time per week is it takes less than 5 minutes to do. Then I pop it in my preheated oven at 425 degrees, and I cook it for about 25 minutes until it's puffy and brown. You know when it's done because if you press in the middle, it's gonna spring back. So let me just put that in my oven down here. And let that cook off a little bit. I'm gonna give my compote a stir now. Everything is cooking down really nicely over here. So prevention. So we don't want diabetes in the first place. We don't want to take medication. We don't want our blood sugar too high because it leads to all these long-term consequences. So what can we do? Not smoke, exercise, maintain a healthy body weight, eat a healthy diet. If we do these different things, diabetes type 2 in particular is preventable 90% of the time. So what are the different types of diabetes? I just mentioned type 2, but there's also type 1. So let me explain the difference. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition. That means your body attacks itself for no known reason. And in the case of type 1 diabetes, your body's attacking your pancreas and causing it not to secrete insulin. So type 1 diabetes is not preventable at all. Your body isn't making insulin and you're gonna require insulin every day to live. So type 2 diabetes, 90% preventable through healthy lifestyle choices starting in childhood ideally. If we do these, we can prevent the long-term consequences with the heart disease, nerve problems, eye problems, foot problems, you name it, and we can keep ourselves well in check. So this is so important to do, living this healthy lifestyle, whether it's for diabetes, cancer, or heart disease, because the outcome of your life is that you have a better quality of life. So you're gonna notice a similar theme with all these conditions, that when we eat well, we exercise, we take good care of our body, we can prevent so many different diseases in the long run. But let's say a loved one has already been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it's not too late always, because even losing weight, following the doctor's recommendation for a healthy body weight can help your body regain some of its balance once again. So whether it's medication or insulin, healthy lifestyle choices, meeting with a healthcare provider to get the advice you need to prevent or live a quality life even after diagnosis is so important. So our berries today. Berries are all diabetes beneficial, especially our blackberries here, which are a good source of fiber, which is a carbohydrate. And fiber slows down digestion and helps regulate blood sugar. The blueberries also contain anthocyanin, which can help lower blood glucose levels. So we have about a 1/2 cup of each in my bowl, and we're just gonna be pouring our syrup over the top. So before I take my berry mixture over the stovetop, I'm just gonna turn off my heat, and I'm gonna be putting in a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm gonna give it a little stir then. Now this is definitely a recipe that's best made ahead, the night before, so you can put it in the refrigerator to cool. And our goal when we mix this together is that we don't break the berries. And this is a fun little game for younger kids when you're cooking with them at home this week. So I have it all together now, and I am going to just stir and incorporate. Okay, that's looking nice. And this is a perfect replacement for syrups. It really does not have a lot of added sugar in here, about 1 tablespoon, so it's mostly the natural sweetness of the berries. Okay, so next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull my pancake out of the oven. And we have our German pancake here ready to go. So I'm gonna cut a slice so you can see what it looks like. Now this has a nice source of protein with the 6 eggs in there, so it's a nice filling breakfast. And this serves about four people. So I'm gonna put a little slice here over my plate. And then I'm gonna top it with a little bit of our fresh berry compote. And this is gonna be a fun celebration for National Pancake Day. And perfect to talk about carbohydrates and how they work in the body to transform into glucose and how your body uses energy. So good lesson for kids all around. So I hope you enjoy this recipe this week, and I can't wait to see you again next week. We've learned a lot this month about prevention, and next month is National Nutrition Month. We'll be talking about personalizing your plate. I can't wait to see you again. Take care.